What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bro Talk. It's Monday. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So shout out to everybody that took the time today to think about, celebrate our brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and really just think about what today is about, what it means to us, what it means to people, what it means to those who fought during the time of the civil rights, during Jim Crow era, and if we take it back to even those who suffered enslavement and what this means for them. So, and for all of us. So, welcome to the show. If you're just jumping on right now, just to let you know, normally there's four of us. One is not feeling well today, and the other one, well, he's on CPT. And if you know what that is, then you know what that is. So he might join, he might not. We'll see. But yeah, bro, man, what's going on, bro? How you feeling today?
Little rested, man. I kind of take today off, man. I didn't cook, I didn't do anything like that, man. I just lay up in my bed, got up.
Yeah.
I learned to make some buffalo chicken dip.
Brandy was gonna make that today, man.
I made that today, man, for the first time, man.
Yeah.
My friend showed me how to make it.
Okay.
And I thought it was more difficult than what it was, but
okay.
You know, I used to wait on a friend of mine that's in Baltimore to make it for me, but they haven't made it for me in a minute, so I had to learn to make it myself, man. So came out really good.
Okay. Yeah,
really,
there's
really
a lady.
Good.
There's a lady on Bala, what's good? We live, baby.
Bro.
And who gave us the recipe for her buffalo wing dip on my daughter's basketball team, man. I don't know what she did to it, but man, it was fire. So she gave us all the recipe, and Brandy's gonna make her version of it.
Okay.
And everything, man. So Bala, what's good, bro? How you feeling, man?
Man, all is well, man.
Busy season for y'all. It's big season for y'all right now at the where your place of employment.
It rolls around every year, so
every year
you just learn to roll with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's an anxious time though, man. I know it's not for everybody.
What's going on? Am I missing something?
It's budget season.
Oh.
So yeah, so I just look at it like this. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about, you know what I mean, that all that stuff, because you know what I mean, where man put you, man can, you know what I mean, remove you from. But you know what I mean?
Yep.
So you know what I mean? I know I'm where I am because somebody who don't work for none of these folks, you know what I mean, put me where I am.
There you go.
So
hey, have faith, walk it out, right? It is, what happens, and the Lord is the one that opens the door. He also the one that closes them. So, we ain't got nothing to worry about, really.
Yeah, and the doors he opened, no man can close. You know what I mean? So,
and the ones he closed,
no man can open.
So. Word, I feel you on that, man. I feel you. So, hey, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I thought that for this particular podcast, man, we can have some conversation around that. I was just telling the people earlier, for people that don't know, they should know by now, but Martin Luther King Jr., we know that he's also was a brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, as bRho kindly showed us with his shirt. My bad, hit the wrong button. And his contributions not only to his community, man, were great, but even like within the fraternity, the speeches that he gave and all of the people that joined the marches. What a lot of people don't know is that a lot of those folks, especially in the college years, those students were part of different grassroots organizations on campus. They were also part of fraternities and sororities as well. So that's why you have in the leadership, there's alphas, there's sigmas, there's omegas, there's different people than the sororities, right? So there's different organizations that came together, for this movement, man. So I think it's important just to shine a light on that for people to know, because I think it's important.
Indeed. One of my, and this is just kind of me being me. One of the things I do hope ultimately happens at some point is that we stopped. We kind of stopped with this whitewashed narrative of who MLK was. In the I Have a Dream, you know what I mean? And granted, that was a significant speech, profound, impactful, historic. We know that. That is not who they killed, and that is not why they assassinated that man.
Yeah, they didn't assassinate him because of the I Have a Dream speech.
They assassinated him because of his work subsequent and following it. Well, I would say following his waking up from a dream. You know what I mean? I am a self-proclaimed dreamer myself. You know what I mean? I told a group of people this evening, man, dream and dream big and keep dreaming. And if your dream's not, if when you share your dream with somebody and they not laughing, that means your dream not big enough. But that is not to say that the dream is what killed him. What his stances and what positions were following the I Have a Dream and integration speech that he gave when he began to talk about economic equality.
There it is. There it is, right there.
He was in Memphis when he was assassinated, and again, I want people to truly understand the history there. I was just talking with my nephew and sharing with him.
And you've been to the museum, right? Because I know you got part
yes,
family. Sir. Yeah.
I've been to the museum. I've been to the house that he was born and raised in.
Yep. Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, sir. I tell people he was not killed by an assassin's bullet. He was smothered to death in the hospital.
Yep.
Following being shot.
Mm-hmm.
His family won a lawsuit against the federal government because of the information that came out and came forward later on. Regardless,
this information is available too. This isn't something that only a certain few know. Like, this information is available.
I mean, so anytime someone dies or is killed, right, an autopsy is performed. So there were documents that were redacted for a number of years, but they're no longer sealed. You know what I mean? This information is available to the public. You can see it yourself. But again, it's easier to sell to the public that he was killed by an assassin's bullet, and because it doesn't implicate the federal government and J. Edgar Hoover, and who's the head of the CIA and all. You know what I mean? When you're trying to make sure that the people have this very rose-colored view of what the government is and who the government is, and I'm not saying we don't need people in offices. I'm saying that you have to be diligent about your research and understand the history for what it is.
For people that don't know, I know you know, but there's this theory about the Black Messiah, and there was a lot of talks about him. I know with J. Edgar Hoover and the and his organization that he helped to craft, and the president that was part of that as well. And just thinking about the fact that at a time when a Black man rose up and was not only able to galvanize his own people, but when you're able to galvanize poor white folks, which is the majority of this country, and I'll even talk about at that time, which is the majority of the country, And then not only them, but then you were also able to galvanize a third group, which I think was the Latino group. You become a dangerous guy or dangerous person when you're able to bring. So now, not only are you bringing your race of folks together, you're bringing in the majority, and then you're bringing up a third race that eventually will be the majority, and you're bringing all these folks together, saying like, "Hey, listen, like we need not only economic equality, but we need economic equity because I want to be able to both be able to sit at the counter and have a meal, but not only just that, I want to be able to afford the meal as well."
I
So
mean,
it's not enough that if I go to the counter and I'm there with you, okay, I'm there, but can I afford the same meal that you can afford?
absolutely. And I want to say this too. Poor people, irrespective of ethnic background and culture. I mean, when you can galvanize poor people, because the reality is the only way that 1% of the country can continue to control most of the. I mean, 90% of the wealth. 90% and above of the wealth, the land, the resources. The only way that can continue to happen is to keep folks divided, which is the oldest strategy in war, which is
In the
divided.
world. In the world.
So the oldest strategy in war in the world is divide and conquer, and the only way to maintain that is when you have systems in place that keep people divided, and then subsequently, you have, like right now we're in an election year, and one of the candidates who is I like to refer to him as 45.
Yeah, they've been saying his name way too much. Even that's a strategy. But anyway.
So here's the thing, right? When he previously ran and won, his rhetoric. This was his rhetoric, and this is what I find it's mind-boggling to me to believe, is that he was able to convince poor people who looked like him that they had more in common with him than they had with other poor people.
I mean, that's partly how you got January 6th, right?
You know what I mean? Exactly. So that's one of the things that I think is so important for people to understand is there's no way you have more in common with somebody whose father was able to loan them $1 million at the start of their professional, real estate career. If there's no one you or I can go to and say, hey, I forget mom or dad, I don't have anyone that I can go say, hey, I need $1 million loan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing where when you don't have that kind of network, or you're not connected in that kind of way, or have that kind of generational wealth, the idea that person, you could identify more with that person than someone who's also poor, you know what I mean, but maybe doesn't look like you, is that you are a proponent of the status quo.
Yeah. Here's my struggle, B and bro. Here's my struggle, man. Is that at one point I did subscribe to the fact that people could pull themselves up by their bootstraps at one point. Now, over time, experience, and just living this life, I understand that you got to have a boot on to even be able to pull up a strap, right? So I understand that. That's not everybody's reality. When I think about today and the times that we're living in, so my wife just said something earlier today. She was like, yeah, chicken was just $4 for some tenderloins. Now it's $10. And thankfully, we're able to afford that, but that's not everybody's story, right? And like B, I saw something you put up earlier about like top 10 incomes or from races and ethnicities. Now I looked into that. I don't know how true that is. I don't know where the sources are. I know that the government comes out with their own statistics, right? And we know that data can be skewed, it can be whatever. So, but thinking about it, man, is that wouldn't you say that there are more opportunities for us to gain wealth today than there was even 10 years ago?
So it, that's a tough question to answer in terms of a blanket yes or no, right?
Right,
And the
right,
reason,
right, right.
and the reason that is because when you think about, you know, somebody might say, right now, and I share this story often. One of my first, you know, my first, like one of the first on the books jobs that I ever had was for a fast food restaurant, fast food chain.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I started, minimum wage was $4.75,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember the jump to $5.15, and it
Hmm.
was like, yo, we was in our mind thinking that was big stuff because,
Yeah,
you know, it was like, okay, if I get 20 hours this week, all I got to get is 20 hours in, and I got $100 check coming, and you know, man,
that's
2
when
weeks,
that math started mathing, right?
yeah,
You
we get,
start doing that good
you know,
math. You're like, hold on.
exactly. I'm like, yo, man, in 2 weeks, I'm going to get me a pair of Jordans and
Yeah,
an outfit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Go with it.
yeah.
So it's my point is that uh people laugh, kids laugh at that now because they can go into that same fast food chain and start somewhere around $16-17 in change.
Listen, man, they can go in and be a manager in like a year or two
So yeah,
with benefits and also opportunities to go to school.
so on paper it would seem like, yes, getting paid 3 times what,
Mm.
you know, someone who's on, you know, only maybe 20 or so years older than them, uh you know, 20 and some change, right? And depending on, you know, where what age they are, you know, so if they can make 3 times what I made when I was at Wendy's, right? um and y'all cut me a check, redhead. uh but if someone can make more than 3 times what I was making, it would seem like, oh man, they're making, you know, they're in a position to do a lot better financially than I was, you know, if we
So
talking
it
apples.
seems. So it
Yeah,
seems.
but when you think about all of the other inflated prices and costs, like you just referenced, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
A bag of chicken, you know, bag of chicken tenders being $10, you know, a gallon of gas is, you know, depending on where you are,
Yeah, 3 and some
like,
change.
man, yeah, 3 and some change. And then if you're talking West Coast, man, a gallon
Woo!
of gas is $5,
Yeah, that's wild.
almost $6 in some places. So when you think about the cost of living, it's not commiserate, right? We're not talking, you know what I mean? The rate of inflation is not getting adjusted at the same rate as the wages or the cost of living to meet people, you know what I mean? So
So that's
it
what I was telling my wife earlier. Yeah, I was telling her that same thing. I was like, it's not the speed. So, but here's the thing, right? So, Bible talks about us having four, I believe it's 4 streams of income. So, our conversation in the car was, well, maybe when our parents was coming up, they can live off of one income because within that one job that they had, let's say they worked in a factory, I'm not going to say the name, they can work their job, work somebody else's job, get overtime, work on Christmas, work on the holidays. Like if you needed, like if you know you needed like $10,000 to get a down payment on a house, oh, all you had to do was just put in more hours. Like it felt like it was simpler at the time, right? And I was saying, even with us, like that are working, some of us are probably working salary jobs. Well, we don't have that option. So either we get a second job, we get a business, we cut hair, we take pictures, you know, we sell things, whatever the case may be. But I think for us, man, shouldn't we be thinking about more ways of bringing money in as opposed to just focusing on 195? Brew, I'm glad you raised your hand. Yes, sir.
All right, so I want to piggyback on the original question, right? I think now we have more resources, and a lot of people, a lot of us are sharing ways how to create wealth than
Yeah.
before, right? Because I remember we all are college graduates. I remember when we used to get these monies back that we have to pay back now, right? Um, if some of us are smart, we could have done some major things. I know I could. I could have, right? Because
I bought 2 houses with my refund check. I'm just gonna put that out there.
which is cool.
Yeah.
Which for me, if I knew what I knew now, stop buying Timberland boots and want to look good and all that stuff, and I would have put that money into buying some land in Africa when I start traveling there.
Mm.
Right now, I could have sold a piece of land. I could have sold probably 2 square land that would have paid off my loan right now. Just two on where the location and all that stuff, right? Because the amount of money that I got back, I probably would have had probably 20, 30 acres of land if I would have put it to use. If my mind was where it should be, if I had somebody in my family or people were sharing the knowledge about being what's the word we're looking for? Um, wealth, how to develop wealth,
Hmm.
right? The question that you asked, B was right. You can't really say yeah, but only one thing now, like I said, is different. People are sharing how to get better with wealth, and as little as the money that you have, you could do something with it. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna see a drastic change within developing wealth, but you will see something, and little by little, if you're patient, you'll see it. All right. Times change now. Well, times change, but I do believe that we are still at a pace that we could do better because we are more smarter now about a lot of different things. We are more charismatic about a lot of things, and we see the difference. We understand and see the difference that we need to create wealth for our family to be successful, or even to have a playing field with other people, out there. So so this is a question that you asked, man. It's a toss up. It's a toss up.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to unpack, right? Because I think part of it is there's a certain narrative that has been preached to us. Because, Brew, you mentioned about being college educated, right?
Hmm.
So what was the narrative that I know the three of us got? If you go to college, get an education, then you'll be able to get a good job, provide for your family. People that go to college make X amount of money more than those
Case.
who, right, all those stats, right? But
Yeah.
then we're finding now that those people that got that message, some are doing really well. So it's not all right.
No.
But I feel like more are struggling because you hear about being in debt and having to pay that back. And my first job out of college, man, paid me $28,500.
Mm.
And I got a whole degree just to work in a news station. And there's no knock to them at all, but to be in a news station with other people that did not have a degree. Not only that, the stuff I learned in college, I didn't even use it. They taught me what they wanted me to know when I
Hmm.
got there. So that opened up my eyes a lot to be like, okay, well, I need to try to do something different here. So then I moved into education. I was already in it, but education just afforded more opportunities for me. And plus, I didn't like some of the work that I was doing in terms of being in news. But then there's our counterparts that are down the street from us at a university where the average student coming out is making 70 grand.
Hmm.
So that's in the STEM field. So they're making that amount of money. They also have, some of them have student loans as well, but that's a stark contrast between coming out at 28.5 and then coming out at 70. There's a lot more opportunity, that's happening there with that. So yes, education is an option, but I also knew that there are people who had no debt and went and learned a trade and were doing just fine.
Yeah.
So, right? So
Yeah.
then I guess the conversation is are we choosing a path for us to gain wealth because someone told us to do it, or are we doing it because that's our passion and that's what we're really on this earth to be doing? Is so like if I know that my purpose on earth is to be a teacher, then being a teacher for me is going to afford me opportunities
Right.
in order to meet the goals that I want to be able to meet. But what are y'all thoughts on that? Because I feel I'm not saying, listen, people that are watching, I'm not saying college is bad. I'm not saying trades are good. I'm not saying
Even
either
if you
or.
are, even if
I'm
you
just
are, so what?
I'm just
Even if
providing.
you are, so
But I'm
what? You know what I mean?
but I
They could get mad. They're gonna.
they get
You know
mad,
what I mean?
right?
So what?
Because working with high school students, man, I gave them all the options. I said, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. It's up to you.
You know, we're not.
I'll still. Hmm?
I'll say this: I'm not anti anything. I'm not anti higher education.
Mm.
I am anti monetized systems that you know what I mean that are intended or designed to keep us in debt. And that's any system. And when
Yeah.
you look at the infrastructure of this country, education is a monetized system. As a matter of fact, the system, the institution itself, right, is designed to benefit. Like let's go back, right? You know who was the essentially the founder of the first like board of education
Rockefeller.
in this country? Yeah, Rockefeller.
So
He
what would
was
Rockefeller's intentions be, right? Not for people to
yeah,
get smart and get their own businesses,
yeah,
right?
but
That,
to create a system where you have factory style workers, you're churning them out, right?
yeah.
And that's what we have. You know what I mean? The idea that like I mean I got a 12-year-old son whose bus comes at 6 something in the morning to take him to school. Like that's you know what I mean? That doesn't benefit him. That benefits a system that is designed to okay, his parents who are already indoctrinated in this factory style work system, you know what I mean? They they can get these kids to work and then get to work. I mean, get them to the building that's going to indoctrinate them into the same system. They come and work, and then when they're getting out of work, their kids are getting out. You know what I mean? So it keeps the system working like it's supposed to.
You
You know
you
what I
know
mean?
what time Andrew Carnegie got went to work?
What
The
time?
Andrew Carnegie steel company, right? He went to work at 10 o'clock in the morning.
You know what I mean? Like it's
10 o'clock in the morning. I want y'all to hear that because I read that book about waking up at 5 a.m. and I get it, I understand, but my body don't work like that, fam. Like it's bogus to me. I'm getting up at 5 now and I don't like it. And I'm not focused on reading the book and all this other stuff. I'm getting my kids ready for school with my wife. Like I'm not. If I can get up at 9 o'clock, I'm gonna do that. That's getting out of that indoctrination, right? Of feeling guilty because I
get
ain't get
that.
up early. Man,
I
nah,
get
bump
that.
that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I get that.
yeah.
So for me, you know what I mean. The idea of being a proponent for a system that you know what I mean is not designed or intended to work for us to benefit me. You know what I mean? So I'm pro. You touched on something. You said purpose. My dad used to always say this. He said the greatest days of a man's life are the day they're born and the day they figure out why. So whoever that applies to, right? The day you're born and the day you figure out why are the two greatest days of your life, because when you figure out what you're here to do and to accomplish, it centers you and gives you a drive towards something that you know what I mean allows other things that you may have experienced in life and have gone through to now make sense, and it gives you a guidepost of something to head in the direction of without feeling like, oh, I don't know if I want to try this, I want to try this, I want to do this, I want to do this. You can still do all those things, but now you have a clear, you know what I mean, like line of direction for where you're headed and what you're ultimately looking to accomplish with yourself and do. The other thing that I'm pro plan, right? If a student says, I want to go to somewhere in an institution of higher education, Great. Okay, we can figure out a plan to do that, so you don't walk away in so much debt that you'll be paying it off for another generation and a half. You know what I mean?
Why is it easier to buy? Why is it easier to get money to go to college than it is to buy a house?
Or why is it easier to get money to go to school than it is to start a business?
I mean, these are the questions we have to ask ourselves,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Like, think about this. In school, in school, the things that I had to figure out and learn on my own, like how to leverage my own liquid assets and so I could build my credit and leverage that. You know what I mean? That stuff I learned on my own. I had to, I had to find it out and make the right connections with different people and learn that on my own. Versus whereas, instead of in a calculus class telling me, how I could figure out if an oil tank spills in the ocean, and there's this much oil in the tank, how fast is the rate of growth of that oil, in the ocean, and for somebody who may be pursuing engineering and would need to be a part of
and it works for them.
Something that, by all means, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
That won't necessarily, benefit the day-to-day person, but what will benefit the day-to-day person is understanding credit, understanding how to wealth build,
OPM, other people's money, how to use it, how to leverage it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so many things that I can think towards and point to.
That's what the bank do, right? That's what the bank does. Like when we put our money in the bank, the money be like, all right, bet. They take that money, they give somebody else a loan, right? Like it's not that simple, but it's that simple.
They loan it out at a rate that favors them. Which speaking of which, when we talk about formalized, higher education, you go borrow money from the government, and the government now essentially becomes a bank.
Yep.
You pay it back at an interest rate that keeps you in debt. So if you borrow money from a bank and you ultimately do bad by that money, or hard time hits your life, and you file for bankruptcy,
that's where I was gonna go with it. Yep.
As much as it's a negative hit on your credit report for X number of years, that debt goes away. When you file bankruptcy and you owe the government for student loans,
nah, bro.
After all that, you still got to pay that back. You know what I mean? So, and you just think about all that stuff.
Unless your school closed.
You know what I mean? I mean, even beyond that, right? You think about the promises or the the rhetoric of government generations ago to our ancestors. This whole idea of 40 acres and a mule, that was never received, but the people who were enslavers got restitution from the government for the loss of enslaved people who were, you know what I mean? Like when you think about all of the ways,
you know why? Because they mortgaged out those bodies. Those bodies had numerical value to them,
and they still do, and they still do.
Well, yeah, because you got the prison, industrial prison system, right? Yeah,
So when you really understand, you know what I mean, how
you know what a mortgage means, bro? You know the definition of a mortgage? It's a death grip. Think about that.
You know what I mean?
A death.
Yeah, when you think of the word morte, right, which is in mortgage, you know what I mean, like which is in the root word, that, you know what I mean, we call someone who deals with the deceased a mortician, you know what I mean? In the Bible it says mortify the deeds of the flesh. We're talking about, you know what I mean, like
killing the flesh, right?
So yeah, the words have power, and it's really again it's so important for us to understand like the systems and the infrastructures, so that way, because we're in, you know, people look at the imagery or the design of a movie and like, you know, but we are navigating the matrix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, it's important for us to understand, so we can navigate it, because the reality is you know, we the only way, it's funny, if you've ever seen the movie The Wiz, with Michael Jackson, one of the famous songs from The Wiz was Michael Jackson sings "You Can't Win if you can't get out of the game." You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like you gotta, there's no way to win this game if you can't learn the rules, figure it out, a way to play it well enough for you to ultimately transition out of the game they want you to play.
But not playing, do you feel like not playing is also losing? Because in order to win at the game, you have to play it. But if you don't play it, you very well you've lost.
That's exactly the point. Is you have to be able to play it well enough that you can, you know, develop an exit strategy, so that way you're, you know, you become, you know, a player in a game that where you've established the right. Because if you playing, and I teach this to youth all the time, you know what I mean, or what, you know, whenever someone says, oh, you know, chess, have you played chess? And you have to understand how all of the pieces move, how they work together, and then you have to understand strategy. You have to ultimately be able to think as many moves or anticipate as many moves in advance as your opponent. And because that, when you're thinking more moves ahead, then the ultimate objective takes care of itself.
Yeah. And I think that's what, but like somebody who said, I think Steven said this, that yeah, they don't teach us that in school, because why would I teach a kid how to be strategic? Why would I teach that to a kid? Why would I teach that to a high school student, how to be strategic? Because if I do, then there's that scarcity mentality, right? Like, well, if I teach them that, then I'm gonna be out of a job, or you know, I'm not gonna be able to prey on poor people to do my bidding, right? Like, you can't teach them that unless they go to business. But even in business, and I'll say this, and again, this is no shade to, you know, the professors and those who are teaching it, but it's kind of hard for me to listen to a professor, at least in that arena, if they ain't had a business of their own. It not only had a business of their own, but had some success in it. Like, that would be really difficult for me. You know what I'm saying? To listen to you talk about, okay, we're going to do a case study on this, but all right, man. Okay. Tell me about what you did.
Yeah.
How did you get there? Because that's what I really want to know. Like, this is great. I know I got to do this for a grade, but tell me, like, how did you get there? Like, what are you not telling me that's not in this curriculum?
I'll give you a prime example.
Okay.
I remember, because, you know, I'm one of 10, you know what I mean? I got a bunch of siblings, you know, and I'm in the middle. So I was real hands-on with, you know, with the youngest group of siblings, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And man, all your parenting theories and ideas before you have kids,
talk about it. It goes out
the window.
Out the window.
Once you got some little people here. So yeah, I, you know what I mean? I can listen to any and everybody with their ideas and theories and suggestions about, you know, what they would and wouldn't do and all this, you know, when you know what I mean? Yeah, yes, it sounds great. You got some little people here. Are your theories in active practice? You know what I mean? With some actual humans that you know you produced.
You know what was humbling for me, B? I'm glad you said that. You know what was humbling for me when I was in charge of the fatherhood group and I ain't had no child yet. And I'm like, how they gonna listen to me? I don't have a kid yet. Like, my kid was on the way. You know, Chloe was baking, but They're not gonna listen to me. I ain't got no kid.
She is
Like
baking.
what? I can't let them go off my nieces and nephews. They not. They're like okay, and that's what
Yeah.
happened. It was like they're not gonna listen to me. But once I had a kid, a child, and then I came back around because I wasn't there for a long time.
Skin in the game.
There it is, skin in the game, bro.
Skin in the game. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like you
Yeah,
don't understand what that means. Like it's you got to have some skin in the game. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that counts for something. That counts.
It does. It carries more weight than all the facts that you know, right? The dude that wears the backpack did a skit about having all these degrees, this, that, and the third. But the point of the skit was like, yeah, you got all these degrees, but what you gonna do with it though? Like, where's the application of this? You got all this paper, which is again is great. It's an accomplishment because there's work to be done. But at some point, that stuff got to get applied, man. And so I think that goes back around to our conversation when we talk about like economic equality, inclusion, and equity. Is that we have this information, and bRho even mentioned it. Like we have this information, but we got to put this information to use. Like we, and I'm not talking about us in this conversation, but just in general, like the answers are really right here. We got all the answers right here. I watched on YouTube a young man who, at the age of 18, did a very simple business. Took somebody's product, sold it, made a profit off of it. No college degree. On his last dime, single mom, living in the South, and now has amassed wealth to where he has his own place to stay, bought his mom a truck, bought his sister a car, is running a business. And he took some concepts that he learned that somebody else did and they were successful at. He tried it himself, put in the work, and now he is bearing the benefits of that. So when we think about like building ourselves up economically, and it's not even always about being rich, right? It could just really just being about being economically stable and stable enough to not only take care of your family, but to be able to prep for the future. And because I know everybody doesn't have that aspiration of having super amounts of wealth. That's my aspiration, and that's me, but that ain't everybody. But what are your thoughts on applications? I think when we think about the different types of education, college, military, trades, the people that make it are the ones who actually apply what they've learned.
So I think that's life, right? One of the analogies, and I'll borrow from my bishop, and I use it, you know what I mean, all the time now. If I go and buy a car and I say, okay, I got this car and I want to get brand new tires for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever tire company X says we make the greatest tires that have ever been made. And I go purchase them because in my mind, these are the best tires that's ever been made. This is what they advertising, right?
Right.
Until rubber meets the road, all I got is theory.
That's it.
If I get on the road and I experience a blowout within, a relatively short time of putting those tires on my car, then you know what I mean? All you had was in theory the best tires that have ever been made. You don't actually have the best tires that's ever been made. When you can get on, when you can take whatever theory you had and put it into practice and see it replicate the results that you've intended for it to produce, then you have, as you said, application. And that to me is tangible. That's substance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's,
you don't have to wait to go to college to do that. You don't.
No. You know what I mean?
If you want to be a researcher, you could do that. You know, if you want to get into STEM and engineering, you could do that. But you don't have to wait and get in debt to do that. You could do that now.
Again, let's put this back in context, right?
Okay.
The idea of formalized school and education, it was designed and created to benefit a system, to feed and fuel systems. You know what I mean? When people once upon a time, you know, as a matter of fact, and the name escapes me, but there's if you do the research on the first it was related to, I believe, heart surgery, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a black man who worked as a lab technician, no formalized medical school training, but it worked in labs, had been trained, had you know, that was his schooling.
Yeah. That's how it used to be for attorneys too. It used to be by apprenticeship. You didn't go to a formalized school. You worked with a lawyer to learn.
He had to walk a doctor through the procedure.
That's crazy.
Because the doctor wasn't, because I you know, one, because he was a black man, and two, because he didn't go to medical school, he wasn't allowed to be in the operating room or perform the procedure, but had to walk the doctor through the procedure. You know what I mean?
That's the story of our cultural lives, man. Can't be in the room, but you want me to help walk you through it, bruh. No.
So we Lewis, you know, Lewis Latimer. Mm-hmm. Lewis, if people don't know who Lewis Latimer is, Lewis Latimer
have a lot of car accidents if it wasn't for Lewis Latimer.
Yeah. And he developed the filament that is which glowed that caused the light bulb to illuminate. You know what I mean? Without Lewis Latimer, you know, the light bulb doesn't come into existence. But we know who Thomas Edison is.
We do,
because he's the one that's credited for inventing the light bulb.
Because there's a strategy that we don't understand. But B, there's a strategy that you just gave a strategy that I don't think a lot of people caught. It's not always about who's the first to do it. It's about who gets the credit for it. So if I have 10 people in here and I want to create something, I'm going to get like 10 of the smartest people, have them test it out, work it out. And then once it becomes what I want it to be, then I'm going to take credit for it. That is the strategy that has been going on in this country for years, is that you have people that are doing these things and then other people are taking credit for it.
I went to a high school named after a man who, you know what I mean, who was credited for inventing something that
he wasn't a dumb guy. He wasn't a dumb guy. We're not saying that. We're just saying that that's the strategy.
But
even now, huh?
And I'm not saying he's dumb, but whose brilliance should we really be celebrating?
I'd rather make the profits than be
took the credit.
I'd rather get the profits of my work than be credited for being as I don't want to say that because it's kind of dangerous to say, but if I'm gonna be credited as the first, I also need to get the profits for it too.
Oh, again,
that's all I'm saying.
I think we're saying the same thing.
We are because we put a lot on the first, this, first, that, which I'm a big proponent of that because I feel like our kids need to see that. They need to know that. We also have to learn from our ancestors as well to be like, all right, they got over on them on that, but I'm not gonna allow that to happen to me. So I create something. I'm gonna make sure, even like with the company that's here that did photography, right? Like there's a lot of black inventors who's making mad bread still to this day because they were able to get those inventions patented. These are black folks in Rochester. So they understood the assignment. Like, I'm going to invent this, but just know this is my property. The same thing happens in the academy too, is that Like a lot of times when like these professors write grants and they come up with, you know, these different things, the university owns that. That it's the universities.
Yeah.
Unless, you know, the professor is savvy or the school is just open to them taking all the credit for it. But a lot of times that's not the case because you use those resources. Whoever funds the project is the one that's going to get the credit for it.
Yeah. And you know what I mean? They let you, you know, get a piece of the pie. But I mean, I just think it's so important because I think one, Dr. Milena Karenga said this. He said, "What you've done is proof of what you can do." So when someone else is, you know, think about this, right? The same people who enslaved us, lynched and killed, have been the ones primarily responsible for writing the textbooks that we then teach history through. So like when we, you know what I mean? There is no, you know, we have to take ownership of the narrative. And for instance, we're taught in school that George Washington is the first president, and there was an entire election that was held under the Articles of Confederation.
Y'all can look this up too for people that's listening in the audience. The information is out there. It's actually easy to get.
Yeah. Google it. You don't need it. You don't even need Encyclopedia Britannica. Google it. John Hanson, who was a man of color, was the first president. It was just under the Articles of Confederation, and after the Declaration of Independence and subsequently the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments of the Constitution.
Isaac, man, go home, bro. Isaac, go home, man.
what Isaac's out there talking crazy. So you know what I mean? Under the Articles of Confederation, a man of color was the first president of this country. They won't tell you that. They won't. They don't teach that. You know what I mean? You know,
because you can't put a group of people that you have enslaved, put through Jim Crow, and are still putting through institutional racism. You can't systemically give that pride. You can't, man, because you do that, we will rise up. People will wake up.
It also goes against the narrative that we are inferior. When you are,
and you know that goes back to like Greek times. That goes back. That is rooted in history, man. About like everything that we do, we talk about. It's a Roman system. Before the Romans were the Greeks. It's a Greek system. Like people got just read it. Don't even take my word for it. Just go back and look. What we're seeing today happened yesterday.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? When
it's out there. Just read it for yourself. It's out there.
You can't run with a narrative of these people are inferior if these people, you know what I mean, were brilliant enough.
Why would they want us to be inferior, bRho? That's the question people have to ask themselves. Why? I think someone said, I don't know if someone said this, but think about it. Why our particular race has there been such a campaign for centuries for us to be seen and viewed as inferior? We have to ask ourselves that question. Why?
I think there's a lot of reasons. I would say one for sure. At least I think that history has you know, given us insight to, or just if you just look at history, is the human conscience is a powerful thing, right? So if you are going to treat a person, any individual, right? As a matter of fact, right? Like I'll put it this way: if we are all, you know, and again, we all have some degree. There's places but look, you know, bRho is doing great work in Africa, in Jamaica, helping people, right? we are people who are in the helps industry. Helps, you know what I mean? It's not just what we do professionally, it's who we are.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So we have a heart for people.
Mm-hmm.
But right, I guarantee you, if somebody, you know what I mean, somebody like if Brew was in the mall and somebody knocked over Josiah David, you know what I mean?
We know what's going to happen.
You saw the head shake? You saw that little subtle head shake? You're going to pull. Listen, this man who is feeding families, you know what I mean, is going. You're gonna be like, man, you're gonna pull out a side of him that you're gonna be like, I didn't know he had that in him, because all I ever hear about is how much great philanthropic work he does.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You know, doctoral candidate Hayes over here.
Mm-hmm.
You listen. Let somebody do something to Chloe or KJ. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, you know, Brandy, you might have to be the one pulling Brandy off of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you're going to pull something out of people. So I'm saying that to say it is hard to get someone to act out of their nature unless you tap into a
provocation. Yeah. Yeah.
So the way they justify in their consciousness how they treated our ancestors is by saying they're not human. They can't. You have to look at you know what I mean, a person as sub.
That was their way of making sense of this for them, for it to make
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is, you know what I mean, because it defies it. You know what I mean. You.
It was the Portuguese that really, at least in our time, you know, the last, you know, that really put that thought into people's heads, man, was that like we got to make ourselves look higher than them. You know, we got to make it seem like they're inferior when a lot of the knowledge that the Greeks, the Romans, you know, the Ottoman, you know, all these folks, man, we know that stuff came from Egypt.
The oldest university in existence is still in existence in Ethiopia
to this day.
The oldest
and
university
Ethiopia has not been colonized. Has never been colonized.
You know what I mean? So it's.
And let me say this about Ethiopia, guys. Ethiopia, man, I just flew through Ethiopia.
Now look, Brew was quiet the whole time. So we said
y'all just brought back a little memory to a brother, man.
Respect.
Ethiopia, I got you. Ethiopia is fly. Ethiopia is fly. Ain't get nobody no trouble.
No trouble.
I come in peace, brother.
So you know what I mean? When you think about, you know what I mean, you know, listen, we know, we understand, and we know the truth, and here's the thing, you know, to quote Black Panther, right? It's hidden in plain sight. We have we have a responsibility to make sure we are purveyors of the truth, we are stewards of the truth, and we are then narrating our stories and passing down, you know what I mean, this history, the truth that we know and we understand. We have a responsibility. It is, you know what I mean. And speaking of responsibility, because I you know, I think this is something that's important for us to touch on, because, you know, I feel like in addition to, you know, all matters of life, one of the things of, you know, what we like to touch on are contemporary issues, pop culture issues. I felt like with the whole Cat Williams interview, right, that there was an opportunity, but responsibility was missed. You know, I'm not saying Cat Williams didn't tell a truth or versions of the truth. You know what I mean? You know, that were jokes taken and used, and we have the timelines matching up. Certainly, I'm not disputing or arguing any of that, right? What I am saying is that for the culture, you know what I mean? For me, I think we, there's so few of us with platforms that we can go on and we can build or we can tear down, right? And I would have loved to seen that when he had the opportunity to go on Club Shay, him say, okay, if I have an issue with what was said by these other celebrities and entertainers when they went on there, and I want to rebuttal those things, how about we get us all together and we all come to some agreed upon terms about how we're gonna communicate with each other and discord and dialogue, you know what I mean? And ultimately walk away having uplifted the culture as opposed to, done more to just have the culture looking like, you know what I mean? Yep, that's what we do. You know what I mean? We steal from one another, we take from one another, and then we attack one another. You know what I mean? And again, I'm saying, any one of them could have done it, but I think, when you think about the agenda that kind of, he clearly came on with something on his chest that he had to get off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did.
And the other sad part to that is, if you watch the interview, it's nearly 3 hours.
Bro, the bottom line, bro, a lot of us as brown people don't want the others to have what we have, bro. People want
Scarcity
people want
mentality.
people people want us to be superior to others. If Kareem is talented and I have a way to push Kareem forward, I don't want Kareem to be forward. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm gonna try to hold him back as much as I can. Come up with different narrative about him, or what I'm saying. But Kareem's smart enough to push himself forward. You know what I'm saying? B could be you too. But these are the things that we do to each other, right? And these are the things that we don't talk about as much because people gonna say we're hating. We're haters. You know what I'm saying? Is that man truth? I don't see nothing that he said that was wrong. It is what it is. That doesn't mean I agree with him. That's his world. I don't live in his world. You know what I'm saying? I stay in my little $100 world, man. They live in big worlds. You know what I'm saying? So I stay in my 50 world, my $100 world. That's what I know about.
Well, I'll say Cedric, man. That joke they were talking about with him, man. I mean, I would have never known that joke if Cedric hadn't said it. I think again, right? It goes back to strategy. Yo, that's funny. You know what? I got the bigger platform. I'm gonna go ahead and use that joke. Right now, the proper thing would have been to do like, hey, Mark Curry, listen, that joke is funny. Da, da, da. Hey, man, can I tell that joke? And then we could figure out. It's like with music. Like when you use somebody else's tune, normally you would pay them a royalty. And I
Yeah,
think comedy just hasn't
intellectual
evolved
property.
over time to do that. Huh?
Intellectual property, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, I agree. I would like to see it get to a place where, you know what I mean. I think of it similar to like, let's say if if I have a number like I remember, if you remember when Cam Newton's NFL number was number 2 when he played with the Carolina Panthers.
Mm.
Sorry, his number was number 1 with the Carolina Panthers. But when he was at Auburn,
Oh
he
yeah,
wore number
it was
2.
2. Yeah.
He wore number 2. He wore number 2 at Auburn.
Right.
When he got drafted by the Carolina Panthers, if you remember, a couple of years prior, the Carolina Panthers had drafted Jimmy Clausen, who wore number 2.
Yeah.
And again, in the NFL, it's like, oh, if this is my number, this is the number. You know what I'm saying? It means they'll buy the number from somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll buy the number off you.
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy tried to charge a ridiculous number, a ridiculous price. So Cam was like, I'll just change my number. But point being is that, you know what I mean? I don't think it would have been an issue. It's just it's not what we do, it's how we do it.
It's how we do it. Yeah.
And I think that's something is, you know what I mean? I don't, I would like to see us vibrate at our height, at the highest form of ourselves. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say, again, you know, I'm not apt to not, you know, to always be there. I'm human. You know what I mean? So I'm not always vibrating at the highest frequency you know what I mean, I exist in. But it is to say that I strive to, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think we should make a conscious effort to strive to consciously be the best version or form of ourselves that we can possibly be.
Yeah. You know, we got to get ready to end this, but I just want to highlight Stephen Johnson. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate the comments and everything. I want to just take a couple minutes to look at this. It says, but when people come from other countries, they work together. Several will live in a small apartment to save money and then pay to bring more family over. Within 10 years, they own multiple properties in the neighborhood that they once lived in with nothing. You know, one of the things that I don't know if I was talking to a family member or something, but when you think about places like Atlanta, Georgia, Houston, Texas, a lot of those folks out there come from the roots of being enslaved and then coming out. And then because the jobs weren't as available as they were like in the North, like where we live, then a lot of them had to go out and create their own business, right? They had to create their own companies, barbershops, salons, carrier services, you know, all different type of things in order to make a living. And that has really helped them throughout the generations. I mean, you look at Atlanta, you're talking about black folks doing their thing and got a little bit of money in their pocket. Yo, black folks is doing their thing, man. Same in Houston, same thing in DC, right? Maybe not so much in Rochester, you know, but I was thinking about those people that live out west who, you know, maybe their families escaped. Like California was not a slave state. Nevada wasn't a slave state. You know what I mean? Like they don't have someone saying like they don't have that legacy of thinking like how maybe folks thought that came out of that. But I don't know if that's all necessarily true because
But
you know what I mean? Like I don't know if that's the case. I really just think it's opportunity or the lack of opportunity that brings out this creativity. So that was kind of hard for me to try to like, you know.
I think for me the bigger point is this is that and I agree. There's a family that my wife and I talk about that lives very near to where my mother and father-in-law live. That very same principle that Brother Stephen just touched on is in operation right now. I'm literally watching it in my mother and father-in-law's neighborhood. But my point is this is that come from other countries, right? We are generations, which we're talking, centuries in to a Western civilization and Western thought process, ideology, and economic system and indoctrination.
Indoctrinated, yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you come like think about, for instance, right? One of the things, you know what doesn't exist in a lot of other countries? Nursing homes. The idea of putting
yeah,
putting the elderly in a nursing home, that
that's
doesn't
disrespectful.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It doesn't that's warped thinking, like in other countries. Like over there is like everyone has a responsibility to be a part of the
parents work and the grandparents take care of the kids while the parents work.
And then when those grandparents are to an age where they now need someone to assist and care for them, then everyone pitches in and has a role as it relates to the care of that person or persons. That's
because
how
most societies come from that, like you said, that clan, that tribal, right? But in the United States, it's all about the individual.
We have adopted, and we have too many of us. And I'm not saying, like we've been indoctrinated in the system. So it's, you know what I mean? It's understandable that we've embraced or we've been indoctrinated into this Western individualized societal type of thinking, where again, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like what? Like no, you know what I mean? You didn't even pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like
right,
you know.
right,
So
right,
but
right.
again, the more that ideology gets pushed, to your point, the easier it
Well, I
becomes
gotta
to
pull myself up by my bootstraps when I could just take yours.
yeah, or it's like when this ideology of bootstrap mentality is what becomes the expectation or the the predominant paradigm,
Yeah, we
then
gotta be mindful what they're telling us, right? Like if you
I
telling
can
me
look
this,
at I can look at somebody else and say the reason you don't have more, haven't accomplished more, aren't doing better in life is because you haven't worked this hard. You're lazy. Like what? Say what? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's why it's so
black folks
important.
are the least lazy of people. The least,
Tell it.
yo, if you can stand outside in 10-degree weather for 10 hours, even if
Listen,
it's illegal, that ain't lazy to me. That's dedication.
man. Listen.
That's dedication, bro.
Ask the Miami Dolphins how I feel to be out in the cold for a few hours.
I knew he's gonna bring it around the football.
You know what I mean? Ask the Miami Dolphins how I felt.
Yeah.
You know what I
Hey,
mean?
but
So
go ahead, finish your thought.
no, just you know what I mean? Like so yeah, like that again, it's those narratives we have to combat, and we can't become proponents of those narratives because what the enemy will do is the enemy will use a surface level lie, a surface level truth to mask you know what I'm saying, a much deeper lie. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like surface level truth, we got to get deeper than that.
we got to get deeper than that,
Than just
man.
having a surface level truth, like, oh yeah, you know, yeah. Is it true that you know what I mean? We want to see less of us, you know what I mean, enacting violence against us? Yes, but there's a again, that's such a very surface level truth. There are a lot of layers and peripheral lies that we, you know what I mean, that we need to pull back the layers on in order to get to the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the truth. I need you and you need me. That's the truth.
Absolutely.
That's the truth. So to think that you're gonna do life by yourself, and you're gonna do it by yourself, that's a lie. You need me and I need you. And I
Yeah.
think if we start having that mentality that I need to lean on my brother, because why is it? Because we know that on the fraternity level, it's like we get it. You know, we've been indoctrinated to think that way, and there's historical reasons why. But it's something that is applicable to everybody, man. I can't do this life without Bilal. I can't do this life without Mark, right? Like, we need each other. Like, it's not going back to what you were saying, is that I wouldn't be where I was at if it wasn't for y'all and all the players, all the actors that played a role, in my life. People need to stop that. They need to stop doing that. And if that's their narrative that is being explained and spit to you, then you got to think to yourself, why are they telling me this? Because there must be something more to it than what I know. Maybe there's something I don't know, but you can't do life by yourself. It's impossible.
Nobody's an island.
It wasn't made to do that. That's why Adam had an Eve. If we didn't need anybody, it would just be him.
But again, that's why we need to get out of this Western thinking, and like just look at the principles of Kwanzaa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unity, collective economics. You know what I mean? Like all those principles, man, would really turn our community around, and we need to practice more than just during Kwanzaa.
That part right there. All right, let's do some shout outs. I know we went a little past our time, but man, this is such a great conversation. Starting off with Martin Luther King and hit the wrong button and everything. So first thing is, I want to shout out the devastating divas of Delta Sigma Theta for their Founders Day, particularly my wife, my number one and most favorite of all time, Delta in this whole world, Brandy Hayes, everybody.
Yeah,
But definitely want to shout out to all the Deltas.
Let me say this. Shout out, man. Shout out to all the January D9s. You know what I mean? Because we got We got Kappas, we got Zetas, we got the Deltas, and we got the AKs who, you know what I mean, who's coming up. Or
don't forget the Sigmas. Sigmas too.
Sigmas too. So, you know what I mean? Shout out to all the D9
Hold on, man.
orgs.
Didn't y'all say Sigmas don't make the board? Didn't y'all say that?
Hey, we
My cousin gonna get me for that one.
We promoting positivity. You know what I mean?
All right, all positivity, yes, and the Sigmas, of course.
We just was talking about principles of Kwanzaa. We can't go back to the tribalism.
Look, I done reverted back. See, that's
Yeah.
terrible. But yeah, shout out to the Sigmas though.
So shout out to all the D9 orgs who have January Founders Days.
It's 9 organizations.
See, back on. See.
Hey man, for me, I want to say shout out to OB, AKAs, especially the older ones. You know what I'm saying? Especially the older ones. You know, Miss my baby Bree up in Buffalo, Dr. Breon.
Dr. Brianna.
My big sister, Marquita, Asewe, Mimi, all of you. And my love of my life, Edith. Hey, shout out.
Well, since we doing that real quick, I got to shout out to the lady that birthed me, my mom, 48 years in AK this year, Beta Chi Lane College. My aunt Vivian, shout out to her, happy Founders Day, and to my cousin Erica, happy Founders Day as well.
And who could have give a Delta shout out without one of my favorite Delta?
I know who you got.
You know what I'm saying?
I know who you about to say.
One of my favorite Delta ever.
In the mall, right?
In the mall, baby. I'm gonna just call it in the mall. You know what I'm saying? That's back in the days. Big sister Dufie, big sister Cam. Hey man, I love you. All right. Thank you. Big shout out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So much love. You know what I'm saying? We spreading the love. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Much love to the D9s. All the work. Hey, you know, all the community work. You know, had a conversation today, man, with a young brother, man. It's all about the better making of men and women, man. That's what it's about. Like, that's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
What he say? Spread love is the PA way.
That's it.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
Spread love is the PA way. So,
sure
everybody that was in the comments, I don't have you know, the app up in front of me in the comment section, but everybody that was on tonight watching, you know what I mean, commenting or not commenting, you know what I mean, much love. We appreciate it. And the reason I don't have it on is because I want to give some important shout outs. And again, not that anyone's bigger than others, but when people are going through, you know what I mean, I feel like, you know, I want to spend my time there. And I got some family going through. And I, you know, if you know Michelle Roberts, you know what I mean, you know, and the family, you know what I mean, that's my family. So
wow.
You know, prayers out to Jasmine and man, the crew, man. Me and Jazz close, so you know what I mean. That's my heart right there. So, you know, prayer to my cousins, my family. You know what I mean.
Yeah, we're praying for them, man. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, I got that news. Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah, so prayers up. Also, you know what I mean. To man, you know, and I'm saying this because they posted, you know what I mean. My brothers posted it and shared about Mother Bannister. Simi and I had a conversation, you know, during you know, in confidence a little while back, and so you know what I mean. They disclosed recently on social media that Mother Bannister is battling pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
So you know, if you know anything about pancreatic cancer, it is an aggressive form of cancer. So if you know the word of prayer, please send some prayers up for Mother Bannister.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I'm gonna, you know, they put up a post. And again, I think if you have any encouraging remarks, go to that post, put it on the post because they said it. And you know, but I do want to share this related to Mother Bannister. She saved my life. And this is a true story. I was in 8th grade, and I was dealing with internal bleeding. Did not know it. I went to school that morning, and wasn't feeling well. And I said, Miss Bannister, I don't, can I just hang out in your law office for lunch? Because you know what I mean, and not go to lunch. Now, Simi and I were so close, right? We used to walk home from school together. You know what I mean? So we were so close that she went into mom mode and not just house administrator mode. She had been around me and seen me and observed me in enough arenas beyond just inside the school that she was like, this is not Balel. So she got on the phone and called my mom, and she said, Balel said he wanted to stay in my office for lunch, and you know what I mean, and not go to lunch. And that's just not like him. Like, that's not like him. You know what I mean? Like he is always energetic. Like that's just not like him. And so my mom came and got me from school and was like, she was like, and they talked, and she told Mother Bannister, she was like, she was like, this boy, he had been complaining all week that he was just like tired. So you know what I mean, for him so my mom took me to the hospital. And come to find out, I was internally bleeding. My blood count was so low that they were like, I don't know. I mean, like they immediately started me on blood transfusions. You know what I mean?
Oh wow.
Yeah, like
what?
They were like, if you wouldn't have got him here, he wouldn't have made it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so
like literally saved your life, not like figuratively.
not like not you know what I mean. Not she pulled me. You know what I mean? But her not just being an administrator, but being a mom and being, you know what I mean, being everything that she was supposed to be in the walking in purpose where God had her. You know what I mean? It saved my life. You know what I mean?
Now let's go back to the conversation really fast. When you walking in your purpose, these are the opportunities that present themselves. Imagine that didn't happen and we wouldn't have the Balel that we have now, the kids that we have, your wife, all these things, right? And that's what I want to add to this conversation about Mother Bannister is that we put that term mother in front, but like she really is a mom. Like,
yeah, she mothered us
all the way through. She gonna raise you, bro. Like,
yeah,
I've had many conversations. She has this way of just like talking to you and rebuking you at the same time, but you smiling the whole time, knowing that she rebuking you, but she doing it in love. And like that is the person, man, that I always see. It's like that person who always has like someone's best interest like at heart, no matter what. And it's gonna give you a word. It's gonna give you a word, whether and it's gonna be in the way that you could receive it. So definitely, like you said, be prayers, for her and prayers for her family. Brother Bannister, I remember, when he had passed, man, that was the one who said, there ain't no reason for you not to be able to pay your dues. So this is what you do. You set your money straight. And it's just like little conversations like that I remember. But like when we think about like our elders, like they're getting up there. You know what I mean? And we got to give them their flowers now while they can hear it.
Brother Bannister was amazing, brother, man. I don't care, man. Brother Bannister, especially when it comes to Rho Alpha, boy.
Yeah.
He has a special love.
Yeah.
He has a special love. He probably wouldn't say it, but I know it. He has a special love, man, for bros from PA, man. You know what I'm saying? Because he'd do anything that we ask him to do, plus. You know what I'm saying? I remember we honored him one year, the Black and Gold. It was well deserved, man. And where Brother Bannister go, you know what I'm saying? Mother Bannister is gonna be
Queen is right with him.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And man, I'm so in love, man, with those two people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna definitely put in a special prayer for Mother Bannister. And I've been shouting her out.
Yeah, you have.
I've been shouting her, because it's not for some reason, man. I don't know not talk to her. You know what I'm saying? And I just pray that everything will work out. And I believe that she'll be fine.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. And then last, I just want to I want to say again, some bros know I didn't noise it around. My mom got rushed to the hospital last week. She was dealing with some internal bleeding.
Mm.
They have stopped, you know what I mean, the bleeding and whatnot.
Okay.
But again, it is, you know, she's been, man. It seems like the every time she gets over something, you know what I mean. Like ever since my dad passed, you know what I mean. Like her body, you know what I mean. Her body's been under attack. So we just just pray, continue prayer, strength.
Yeah, man. For sure.
You know what I mean, and full recovery. And then just just in general, man. Everybody out there, man. If somebody's going through, we praying for you. You know what I mean. Shout out to my wife, my amazing wife, as always, man. She is the anchor, man. She's the anchor, man. Like, you know what I mean. She, I just appreciate her. And again, she makes it possible. Shout out to my church. We, you know what I mean. There's some amazing outreach things going on. And so I appreciate our leadership, Dr. Bishop Gregory R. Wells, Pastor Prophetess Andrea G. Wells, for releasing us to be able to do, do things and expand kingdom. You know what I mean. Elder Haygood, Prophet Wells, Elder Walker. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. This Evangelist Haygood just doing the work of kingdom. So again, shout out to some amazing folks, some amazing young folks too. Sister Kaisea Wells and Sister Shania Wells, you know what I mean? Again, just, spearheading things for the youth, because youth is a very important demographic that is, you know what I mean? If we forget, we often overlook them when it comes to kingdom, but we're definitely, you know what I mean, doing things that, as it relates to being intentional about, encouraging and giving youth voice and youth platform. So shout out to those two amazing young women of God who are leading efforts as it relates to the youth and young adults at Victory Living. If Isaac was on, Isaac would also say to all the Black people doing Black stuff, doing dope stuff, you know what I mean? Keep it on.
And I want to say something, B, to add to that, man. I celebrate my Earth Strong last Wednesday.
Yeah, that's right. Happy birthday, bro.
No doubt. I want to say thank you to everyone that sent me a shout out, man. I really appreciate it. It's a blessing as a black person to live and continue to live and live in my purpose. I also ask for those people to pray for me as well. First time in probably I want to say 15 or 20 years, man, that I celebrate my birthday here in America. I'm always somewhere, man. I'm always in Africa celebrating my birthday. But this year, man, I was here. It's a little different for me. But I appreciate the love that I receive on the book and the phone calls and the texts that I receive from my family and my friends. It was greatly appreciated. And I don't want to take this moment, man, to say thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir, man. My little sister birthday was yesterday. Shout out to that little firecracker right there.
Your younger sister?
Yeah, Naoki, man.
Naoki. Yeah.
Her birthday was yesterday, so
hey, Naoki, happy belated Earth Strong Day, girl.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh man, got my nephew's birthday is tomorrow. Her youngest son's birthday is tomorrow. So shout out to Bubby. You know what I mean? Happy birthday to my niece Asia, my sister Keisha. Listen, God got y'all. You know what I mean? He doing something amazing right now, and we just gonna let him keep doing what he's doing. Man, my little sis goddaughter, man. You know what I mean? So many January birthdays in my family. You know what I mean? My birthday coming up, my mom's birthday coming up. You know what I mean? So
And I want to speak on this year, man. I don't know. We talked about it. I don't even think. Did we have a show last Monday?
Nah.
No, right?
Hold on. Don't be disrespectful.
We did.
Oh yeah, we had a show.
Oh, so we did talk about the numbers.
Go Blue. University of Michigan national
Oh yeah,
champion.
yeah. Well, did we talk about the amount of people that we served this year?
You touched on it, but
Touched on it,
yeah.
right?
But go on again. Go again.
Man, I want to say thank you, man, to those people that donated, man, and those who intend to donate and didn't donate. You can still donate because we always have next year. Um, in Ghana and Jamaica, we started the first one in Jamaica. It wasn't as organized as Ghana because Ghana has a blueprint, right? So Jamaica, we're gonna have to do it a little different, same way, but a little earlier. By the time I get there, I was tired, man, and there was a lot of running around. And to put a team together was, I don't trust a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And you got to have good people. You know what I'm saying to work with this and have the same mind or somewhat the same mind and mission of what you have, or
And,
serving the people.
and they gotta have your line name.
Yeah,
You
you gotta
gotta
have
have
that too.
integrity.
You know what I'm saying?
You
You gotta
gotta
have some integrity. You gotta have some
have
integrity.
integrity.
So in Jamaica, I'm very leery about the integrity portion. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was on the ground. I have to be on the ground down there. But now I have two people I could trust out there with certain things, and to make sure the work carried through and stuff like that. But in Jamaica, we did 135 bags, and I left we did 150 bags, but when I left, we did 135. You know what I'm saying? And my boy out there told me that he gave out. He only have 3 left. You know what I'm saying? So which is a great thing, great thing. Um, in Africa now, I'm so proud of that. We did 580. You know what I'm saying? 580 families. I don't know if y'all hear what I'm saying. 580 families plus that 150.
And let me say this. It'll be for those who haven't heard Brew talk about it before. We're not talking about feeding families for one meal or one day.
No,
We talk about feeding families for a week.
at least a week of
so
food and the thing.
580 and 150. That's 730 families.
Yeah.
That are fed for a week. You know what I mean? 730. You talk about it. We talk about almost 1,000 families. You know what I mean?
So
that, like you said, that there's that can't go, underscored. You know what I mean?
So I'm planning, man. I'm planning for next year. And shout out to my auntie Donna, man, that holds it down for me in Africa. My brother Awal, his kids, my team down there, man, and another couple friend of mine that are a part of that, man. And Africa was great, and I get a lot of prayer. Sometimes, I get a lot of prayer, man, and people down there pray for me. And it wasn't like they see that I was missing. They know that I was missing. It was a lot of, hey, where's Brother Mark? Where's Brother Mark? But Brother Mark had to do somewhere else, I have to break off from time to time to go make sure, continue doing the Lord's work, man, because I definitely think it's part of what I'm here for. Working on my purpose and giving back, man. I learned from my grandfathers, both my grandparents, but especially my grandfather, my mother's father, but those things, man, are important to me, man, but I'm asking, man, for those people to continue to pray for us. You're going to see probably in August, I start advertising again, man, and every little bit helps. That's all I'm going to say. Every little bit helps. And I hope you continue to support me, man, so I can support people, and I appreciate all the help. Shout out to the Alphas, man, the Deltas, the AKAs, all the Greeks that contribute to us, doing what we do. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it, man. And all my friends and family, man, around the world. I appreciate you guys as well. And I'm going to put up some pictures later on, to show you the bags that was in my living room down there. So it's a cool feeling. It's a cool feeling. It's a cool feeling talking about it. Usually I'm not the one to really talk about it. I'm a doer, man. I just get it done. And but I learned that I have to give a shout out. I have to go ahead and say what I have to say and just say it. So that's one of the things that I'm working on for 2004, to be more bold. You know what I'm saying? Bold about what I do and let people know what I'm doing, and do that with confidence. You know what I'm saying? Because as an alpha man, we always confident in what we do. Shout out to the brothers, man. Shout out to PA. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Ada Zeta. Nothing but love, guys. Shout out my son that's sick too, man. Ike, man, get better, bro.
Man, I come here talking about
Yeah, I
45
know.
one Iowa, man.
I
He
know,
playing
man,
around.
I know. I hope he's just messing around.
That means he's getting better. That means he's feeling better. Well, bros, it's man, we spent some time today, man, but it's always worth it with the bros.
I gotta work from home tomorrow. I just got the
Oh,
text.
see, oh.
I was looking outside like, I bet it's really bad outside. Hey, I gotta work from home tomorrow, boy.
Hey, I don't mind that, man.
Oh
My
no,
remote
sir.
day on Wednesday, so
I can sleep until around 9 o'clock, baby. Just roll
there,
out.
there you
I
go.
got my meeting at 9:15. I'm gonna roll up
Listen, man.
around. Yeah.
You know when the best time to wake up? When your body says it's time to wake up. That's the best
Bro,
time to get up.
I did that today, bro.
Yep.
I let Josiah didn't go to bed till like 4 o'clock this morning, man. I just let him be. I said, you know what, man, you're at your daddy house, so we're gonna chill.
Yeah.
I got him his pizza like late.
There's his pizza. Yo,
Boy.
Josiah gonna have that pizza.
Man, that sucker, man. That boy ate. I said, yo, man, cut the light off and go to bed. It's like, okay, daddy.
Yeah.
I got up to use the bathroom, and this joker was still up, man, with his iPad. You know what I'm saying? I said, man, I ain't gonna say nothing to him, man. I'm just go back to.
You just let him ride out this time. You know what? That's the part of parenting that people don't talk about. They be like, "Oh, you gotta do this with your kid and that. This is third." Yo, it be days, man. As a parent, you just be like, you know what? As long as they're not hurting themselves,
bro. It's just me and him. That's my house. I'm not hurting him. You're not hurting me. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
You know, you come jump on me from time to time, man. You know, sometimes he come fold up beside me. I'll be like, look at this boy, man.
Yeah.
Now you want to be independent. Now you want to fold up onto me, man. So, man, I love it, man. I love it. I love being a father, man. I don't know them other people out there. I love my little guy and my little girl. I love it. Love it. You know?
That's what we got to do. All right, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.